We're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions today for the homework. So let me go ahead and label that. What you're going to want to do is pause this video and copy down this flow chart or this flow map. Type this in here. And we're going to look at this without any signs first, and then we'll introduce the signs. The reason we're going to go ahead and do this together, even though we've already done multiplication by itself, is because I want you to see that really division is the same thing as multiplication. You may remember this from previous years, which would be good, but if not, we're going to go over it very quickly. So go ahead and copy this down, and then unpause the video. So before we get started, let's get a problem to work on. So we're going to do that right here. We're going to start with multiplication and go all the way through, and then I'll show you with division. So we're going to just do 1 1/2 times 2 4/5. So write that problem down somewhere else. And I meant to say it, if you watch this far and haven't copied yet, though, this could be right beside it if you had the paper turned the right way. You wouldn't have to have it on a different level. It's just that mine wouldn't fit all together. So if you remember from the video before, the first step of multiplication is to put everything in fraction form. It means everything needs to be a fraction. So the way that works here, let me get the view. Sorry about that, I had to fix it so that I could zoom in. The way it works here with this problem, to put everything in fraction form, what we're going to do is make them improper. We've been doing that, so you should know how to do that. Remember, you multiply, then you add, just working around. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 makes 3. So that would be 3/2. And we're just going to put our example here in this box. 3/2 times, and let's go back to the problem here. We're going to do the same thing. Multiply, then add. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 makes 14. So it'd be 14/5. And so that's the fraction form step. Everything needs to be a fraction. You don't want whole numbers or mixed numbers. Now the next step, we'll zoom out again. The next step is only for division. So we're going to put a marker. And the reason I'm doing this together is just to show you this one next step. So the next step is division only. So you will not do this unless you're dividing. So when you're multiplying, we just skip right over it. And that's what I wanted to illustrate. We're going to skip right over this step. We only do when we divide. We'll come back to that when we're done. The next step for multiplication is to cross reduce. And that's if possible. And you could put if desired. This is not, like we said before, this is not a necessary step. It just makes it easier if you can do it. So let's look at the cross reducing. I'm going to just copy the problems. Let's go to here. So I'm going to copy the problem over from here. We have 3/2 times 14/5. So the way that looks when we cross reduce is we say, does anything go into 3 and 5? No. Does anything go into 2 and 14? Yes. 2 does. So we'll divide both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So this should be a 7. So that's cross reduced. The final step, and once again, this is, you don't have to do that, but you can. It makes it easier if you do it. So the final step is to multiply across. And we never actually divide when we're doing fractions. We always end up multiplying. We'll see how that works out in just a second if you've forgotten, but we always divide. So I'm just going to copy our fractions down. We have 3/1 now that we've reduced, and 7/5. So I'm just going to copy those to this box. And just in case you missed it, that's because we just reduced and we got the 7/5 and the 3/1. And that's what we put here. And now we'll just multiply straight across. 3 times 7 is 21. Put the answer down here. 5 times 1 is 5. And we'll just leave it at that for now. We'll work on converting later. 21/5. It doesn't simplify. Nothing goes into 21 and 5, so we're done. We did our simplifying ahead of time. That's why. All right, so now let's go back and run through this exact same procedure, only this time we're going to do it for a division problem. So I'm going to do the exact same problem, 1 1/2, only instead of times I'm putting in divided by. And this is something in 7th grade. You've seen this before, so this is just review, but a lot of people forget it. So for division, the first step is exactly the same. Let's go back up here. Fraction form. It's exactly the same. Hopefully you're filling in this chart as I go. Please don't wait to the end or it'll be a lot at once. Do it as I go. So we're just going to multiply, then add on both of these to put them in fraction form. So since we did that same thing here, the first step is actually exactly the same since they're the same numbers. It's going to be, let me pick a different color so it stands out. 3/2 times 14, or divided by 14/5. So same problem, only with division. Now a lot of you already know this next step, but just for those of you who don't, the one division only step is we change it to multiplication, but we multiply by the reciprocal, which I spelled wrong, sorry. All right, that's better. A lot of people will remember things like keep, change, flip, or something like that. You keep the first number, change, then flip. It's better to remember this word reciprocal. That's sort of a big, important math word. But if you, I wanted to relate it to this just in case you've seen it before. Let me show you what it means. So, since this is division only, we don't have a multiplication example. We're just going to put an X there. We only have a division example. What that means is, let me go ahead and write the original fraction. Reciprocal is just a big fancy math word for flipping a fraction. That's the reason that KCF works. Keep, change, flip. We keep the first one exactly how it is, 3/2. We change the multiplication, and then we flip or take the reciprocal of this second fraction. It would be 5/14. So we have 3/2 times 5/14. And now from this point, this is the only difference between multiplication and division. From this point forward, it's exactly the same as multiplication. We're going to do exactly the same steps. I'm going to copy it over to here, go back to green again. 3/2. Only at this point, the only difference is we flip this fraction so that it looks a little different now. There's no common factor, so it will not cross reduce. We're just going to leave it exactly how it is and do. So we really can't do this step. We're just going to multiply straight across. So we're multiplying 3/2 times 5/14. So let me copy that down. So even if a fraction says to divide it, we never divide them. We actually flip them and multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm just going to write it out of the box here so you can see it better. And then 2 times 14, if you don't know that, come somewhere here. Most of you probably know that. And do it away from your problem. Just want to illustrate that. But 2 times 14 is 28. That doesn't simplify any further, so that's our answer, 15/28. Let me circle it over. Let me go and fix that. All right, if you have any questions about multiplying or dividing fractions, just make a note of them. If you go on Edmodo if you need to and type them to me there, I'll try to answer them in class tomorrow. We'll be doing this with signs pretty much right off the bat, so be ready to sort of learn that new lesson. That's really the new. This was mostly review, just to get you caught up if you were confused.